Good morning. I took the small scroll from the angel's hand and swallowed it. In my mouth, it was like sweet honey, but when I had eaten it, my stomach turned sour. Of course, this passage from Revelations speaks a lot to the prophet Ezekiel from the Old Testament about the Word of God, that we just want to devour it, that we always feel like we can understand God more and more, and everything he says that Jesus is telling us opens up to us and brings this flame into us. But what does the part say about it turning sour? Does the Word of God turn sour inside of us? Definitely not. But what the idea is, a lot of times it is so hard for us to understand what Jesus is calling us to do. It's not easy. We ask him to come into our lives and to transform our life and to form us. But with that forming come with us is a fire that has to burn inside of us, that has to burn out all the bad stuff that's inside our life, to purify the gold and the silver, the preciousness that's inside of us, to make us more like him. If you noticed last week I was not here. I was actually on retreat all week down in Kentucky at the Abbey of Gethsemane. So I was in silence for 5 days with the Trappists. And I did a lot of soul searching down there. And if you don't know, that is where Thomas Merton spent his time. And one of my favorite quotes from Thomas Merton from The Ascent to the Truth is, "It is into this abyss of blazing light, so infinitely bright as to be pure darkness to our intelligence, that the mystic enters not only with his eyes, his imagination, and his mind, but with his whole soul and substance, in order to be transformed like a bar of iron into the white heat of a furnace. The iron turns into fire. The mystic is transformed into God." So as we are asking to be transformed into God, there is going to be some pain, and there's going to be some things that we don't want to deal with, because God's showing a light onto us more and more of who he's trying to transform us into. Kind of like in today's gospel reading, when Jesus says our temple is a house of prayer, but there's so much other baggage in there that he's driving it out and beating it away. But the beauty of it is Jesus will never give us more than we can handle. The question is, what can we handle? Until he pushes us to that limit, we don't know exactly how far we can go with him. So it's a beautiful thing that kind of comes back and forth together. Yesterday I was pretty upset with two things in the news very much upset me yesterday. First, I don't know where I come down on the young man who murdered the other man down in Baltimore. It's 14 years old. We have to say, can he be tried as an adult? I mean, we're talking about a 7th or an 8th grader. Does he really know what he did? But at the same time, he does have to be punished. So I don't know where I stand with that. It's something that I really have to pray with and I wrestle with. Both sides come up to me. And then we hear at the end of the day that the grand jury report is going to come out. And that always saddens me, because it's just, I'm trying to give my life to the church. And it makes me question, is this the body that I want to be part of? But what we always have to understand is, first, we need to pray for the victims more than anything. And we always have to remember the victims are the victims of the abuse of the church. We also need to pray for the priests that caused that pain, or the brothers and sisters that caused that pain also. But we also have to pray for ourselves, that we can open up and let this transform us to become more and more unified with the church as a whole, and to understand what God is calling us for. And I really think last night, late before I went to bed, after meditating for a while, I read Archbishop Lurie's response. And I would really encourage everybody to prayerfully read that, to understand what he's saying there. And I think it's going to be some troubling times for us all, but this will be time that the Lord uses us to transform his church into a better body, that we can always say, "Jesus, I trust in you."